After battling Bradley in a first-round showdown, the Spartans survived and advanced to be tested yet again by a familiar Big Ten foe, the Gophers of Minnesota. The Spartans showed their resilience once more and advanced in the dance. With just 16 left, the challenge couldn't be any sweeter. This is March to Glory, the Sweet 16.
Good evening, everyone, and happy March Madness to you, and welcome to our show, March to Glory, the Sweet 16 version. And we did the same thing 1 week ago, of course, when the Spartans entered the NCAA tournament first and second rounds. Now it's on to the third round, and of course, the Spartans looking to move on again. So we have another March to Glory special and a totally new and different show. Thanks for looking in tonight. The Spartans advance to this stage of the tournament with victories last weekend over Bradley and then over Big Ten foe Minnesota on Saturday. The second victory over the Gophers for MSU this season. MSU built an early lead, saw it sliced to 9 points in the second half, and then, as he often tends to do, Cassius Winston took over the game, and the Spartans sailed to a 70-50 victory to move on to the Sweet 16 and a Friday night matchup against LSU in Washington, D.C.
Happy to finally get out the first weekend, but we're not satisfied. We still want to go out here and win this weekend, but we know we got to take it one game at a time and got a tough LSU team first.
We were just trying to win the weekend, and we ended up doing it, and now we got to win another weekend. It's just our motto around here, the 2-game tournament kind of deal.
I feel like this team's rolling. We're playing really good basketball, and we got a chance to do some really special things as a team.
We still got a lot more that we want to accomplish. So, like I said, we still are looking forward to keep going and kind of keep working, really.
That victory Saturday gave MSU its 67th NCAA tournament victory all time, and 50 of those 60 wins have come with Tom Izzo as the head coach. 50 tourney wins in 24 seasons. Up next, the LSU Tigers. Tigers are 28-6. They won the SEC regular season championship with a sparkling 16-2 record. They are playing under an interim coach named Tony Benford because their head coach Will Wade is under suspension and under investigation for allegedly offering money to a recruit. The Tigers beat Maryland in the Big Ten last weekend to advance, winning the game in the final seconds when Tremont Waters drove in for a layup, and LSU danced off the floor with a 69-67 victory over the Terrapins to move the Tigers into the Sweet 16 opposite Michigan State. As for the Spartans, they are still dancing in the tournament for a lot of reasons. No bigger reason than guard Cassius Winston. He continually does things to save his team's bacon, and did it again Sunday after he saw his team lose a 20-point lead. Got it shaved down to 9. Tom Izzo called a timeout. He challenged his co-captain in the huddle, and Cassius came out and scored 7 points in the next 64 seconds. Here is 64 glorious seconds of what Winston, what he does.
Shot clock at 7, looking for an opening. Winston, 3, 2, there's a long shot. What a shot by Winston.
There's a reason why he's the Big Ten Player of the Year.
Doubled by Winston, knocked the ball away, steals the ball, the collision, and the foul. It's on Minnesota.
And who came up with it? Cassius Winston.
He's that highly regarded by both segments. Sees an opening and a running two. A 2 in a row by Cassius Winston.
Talking about putting the team on your back.
Oturu spins on Tillman. Winston has the steal. Winston now gets it out to Henry. Now to Winston. It's a 3. Good! He's an assassin! What a shot! 3 in a row!
7-0 run by the Big Ten Player of the Year, Cassius Winston.
Winston has the last 9 Spartan points. Cold-blooded shots as the team was staggering.
Amazing 64 seconds by the junior guard and his headband now becoming locally famous. We are not finished with the Cassius Winston portion of the show. Coming up, Cash talks about accepting a leadership role.
I just embrace it, you know what I'm saying? It's a huge opportunity. It's a blessing just to be in this situation where, if I play good, then it's a good chance that the team plays well too.
Mr. Winston is the subject of our next segment in our March to Glory special. The junior point guard sat down with Audrey Dahlgren and revealed the keys to his best season so far. It's up next on March to Glory, Sweet 16. Welcome back. Cassius Winston opened a lot of eyes around here a year ago. He's now opening a lot of eyes around the college basketball national landscape. Here is what ESPN Game Day analyst Seth Greenberg told us about Winston's ability to work in small spaces.
He was trying to stick the ball in such small windows. And I actually talked to him after practice. I said, you're like a quarterback. Those same passes that quarterback threw in high school where the cornerbacks couldn't close in and make a play, well, in college they can. And watching his growth and watching his maturity and watching his relationship with Tom change and evolve has been absolutely phenomenal. He picks his spots, when to go and attack, when to get others involved, when to push it in transition, when to advance pass it. When he needs to be a little bit more aggressive. And I think that's the thing. That's the maturity aspect of it. Like, really good players know when to make a play.
Yeah, he's really good, all right. And the plays Winston has been making all year tend to leave people in awe. He has the it factor and embodies what it means to be a point guard, especially under Tom Izzo. Audrey Dahlgren had the pleasure of sitting down with the junior before he departed for Washington. And he's really on pace to be really one of the best at his position since a guy named Mateen Cleaves, right?
He really is, and as you and I both know, there's nothing that solidifies a player's name in a program's history quite like a national championship. The joy Mateen Cleaves brought to Michigan State basketball in 2000 when he helped the Spartans win their second title is what Cassius Winston wants. When you mention the great point guards at MSU, he wants his name to be in the conversation. He's had countless opportunities to do just that this year, and as we've seen so far, he's cashed in on every one.
Stake is poked away by Winston, and no one back for the Wolverines.
When Cassius Winston finesses his way to the rim, you can't help but watch to see what's going to happen next.
So savvy.
Even from a very young age, Michigan State's junior point guard knew how to wow a crowd.
I had to be around 2 years old, and we were at Six Flags, and it was early, like before everything really opened and stuff like that. So we were at like the carnival basketball shooting things, and the guy, he gave me a basketball, and I started, dribbling it around and dribbling, and like people kind of like started to pay attention and watch me and stuff. And then next thing you know, they start throwing little dollars and coins and just things like that, cheering me on while I was dribbling.
It's part of the reason why no stage or moment is too big for the conductor of the Spartans offense. And boy, does he ever know how to make it sing.
Now to Winston, it's a three. Good! He's an assassin! What a shot!
I spent so many hours in my life just playing this game of basketball that, I can't let it go to waste. There's not really a lot of reasons to be nervous, and not a lot of reasons to be scared of anything. This team been working so hard for those moments, for those exact moments that you dream about. So once you get an opportunity, it's not time to shy away from it. You just kind of embrace it.
Every drive, every three-point play, every pass has a purpose.
Oh, beautiful! Nobody saw that pass coming. Look at this pass.
People kind of try to say it's like I see it before it happens, but it's more of a reaction type of thing. I make my reads and reactions really fast, so if a person steps up too high, then I know to throw it low, or if a person is running in stride, I know to put it a little bit ahead of them, or if a person breaks open really fast, I can make that quick reaction to get it to them.
His 33 minutes a game usually equate to 18 or more points and nearly 10 assists. But what makes him so impressive is his ability to take over when it appears the train is about to run off the tracks. In that moment, Cash Money rules.
Everybody I talk to in the country, on every level of sports and probably life, the great ones do that. They find a way to reach down and get something that's not even there. I think Cassius Winston is learning how to do that more each and every day.
When Winston goes, MSU goes. Similar to how currency makes the world go round. So it's easy to see where some of his nicknames originate.
The most common one is Cash. Everyone's calling me Cash, Money, Cash Money Records, all type of stuff in that area.
Cash Money rules, baby. Cash Money rules.
it's a sweet name to have, and like that's a a sweet nickname to have. You can do so many things, especially I play basketball, so it was just the name just stuck automatically.
Cash and buckets.
Yeah.
But out of all of the nicknames, the one he relishes in the most is being known as Izzo's right-hand man. The Spartans offense does run through Winston, as he is an extension of Tom Izzo on the floor.
It's a huge opportunity. It's a blessing just to be in this situation where, if I play good, then it's a good chance that the team plays well too. So it kind of goes hand in hand, and instead of like letting the pressure break me or stuff like that, I kind of just embrace it and enjoy the opportunity.
Winston is 4 assists away from breaking Cleves' single-season assist record of 274 set back in the 1998-99 season. And as far as points, Winston has the edge. Looking at both of their junior seasons, Winston has already outscored Cleves by 132 points, and he still has at least one game to play. Fred?
All right, what a young man he is. Thanks for sharing that, Audrey. And as you know, as good of a player as he is, he's even a better person. Up next on March to Glory, the leaders in junior forward Nick Ward's life, his mom and dad, who attend almost every MSU game home and away. Alex Sims catches up with the Wards coming up. Stay with us.
Boom. Yes, sir. That's sweet. Yes, sir.
Y'all couldn't even put it on the line, right? Put it on the line.
The happy scene from the post-game gathering around the bracket board after Saturday's win over Minnesota to advance the Spartans to the Sweet 16 and on to Washington, D.C. The first Sweet 16 for the players on this team since the Spartans haven't been this far since 2015 when Kenny Goins was a freshman bench warmer, so I guess he was in one, and Matt McQuaid was a senior in high school. Spartans would dearly love to update that bracket board Sunday night and put the MSU placard into the Final Four next weekend, but there is plenty of work still to be done. I think everyone agrees their chances are improved with Nick Ward back in the lineup and getting healthier by the game. And Nick's 2 biggest fans visited with our Alex Sims, who joins us now. Hi, Alex.
Fred, hi. It wouldn't be a Spartan season without facing some type of adversity. No Joshua Langford, no Kyle Arns, both due to injury. Nick Ward, though, back in the lineup the past few weeks and hoping to continue to make an impact as the Spartans dance on in the NCAA tournament. And what a roller coaster ride Nick Ward has had to endure this season, making the tough decision to return for his junior year, followed by a couple of injuries, the most significant one occurring about 6 weeks ago when he suffered a hairline fracture in his left hand. That kept him sidelined for 5 weeks, but not once did the big man lose hope, lose positivity. And I caught up with his parents in Chicago at the Big Ten tournament, and they can't express enough how proud they are of how their son handled adversity.
I am so proud of him. I tell him all the time. In fact, after he had surgery, I was there. We spent the night in East Lansing. And when he came out, he was like, Mom, I'm just going to work. I'm going to keep doing what I do. He's like, this isn't going to hold me down. And I said, it's not. And he didn't let it. So I was extremely proud of him. When he first came out and I saw the excitement on his face, it almost brought me to tears because I knew that this is what he has been working towards. This is what he was on that bike for. This is what he had his hand wrapped up for, so it wouldn't sweat, all those 4 weeks when he was out. So, I'm proud of all of them. I'm proud of how mentally strong they are. This game is not just about physicality, it's mental strength as well, and I'm very proud of them.
And that was the biggest thing I was most proud of him about it was how he handled it. He had an injury that is going to cost him to miss some significant time. The biggest part of when you have an injury is getting over the mental aspect of it. And I think as he continued to play, the mental part of it will start to go away, and he would just go out there and just play basketball. So I'm really proud of the way he's handled it. He's growing. You can just see it on the court. He's growing mentally and physically. So we're really proud of the stuff he's accomplished already.
I know you knew Nick would be good, but when and what point did you know he was going to be a star?
Well, normally, like I said, when Nick was really little, he was always bigger than the other kids. So for us to know he was going to be this good is kind of something we didn't expect all at once. He gradually started, I think after his high school year, he really broke out because he really started to grow. And once he started to grow and his skill and his footwork just caught up with his body, it was a wrap from then on out.
I knew. No, I think watching him when he was playing in AAU and his passion for it, I knew.
What does it feel like to be the parents of a son who's a star? Not just a star, but a star on a team that is just so successful.
For me, it's humbling. It's one of those things where, you know, I see him when he's laughing with his brothers. I see him when he's acting silly all the time. So when we're out and someone wants his autograph, it's a humbling experience for me.
It's very nerve-wracking, you know, because as I used to play as well, and I know what he goes through, and to see him sometimes when he's so intense and so emotional, I feel it too. So I get just as nervous as he does on the court. So, but we're learning to deal with it now because, like I said, we're becoming used to it.
I knew. No, I think watching him when he was playing in AAU and his passion for it, I knew.
What does it feel like to be the parents of a son who's a star?
For me, it's humbling. It's one of those things where, you know, I see him when he's laughing with his brothers. I see him when he's acting silly all the time. So when we're out and someone wants his autograph, it's a humbling experience for me.
Ward has told us many times how being on the bench has given him a new perspective of the game and in life, but he hasn't had much time on the bench in the NCAA tournament. The Spartans will need the big man as much as possible. Fred?
I don't wonder where his politeness comes from. Thanks for that, Alex. We'll come back and hear from a national broadcaster about Tom Izzo. That's next. Stay with us.
The Spartans face the Tigers of Louisiana State.
Gregory Keltzer with a basketball comes in the right side with a slam dunker with one hand. Watching Greg today, his parents from Detroit. How proud they must be. Keltzer drives in a two-handed slam dunker. Spartans led here 36-19 at halftime. They could be sending LSU to their worst loss of the year. LSU, the Southeastern Conference playoff champion, but no match at all for the Spartans here. They go inside, shot blocked in there by Keltzer.
All right, en route to the national championship for MSU, a victory in round 2 over LSU 40 years ago, the only time these two teams have ever faced each other. And by the way, that Final Four in 1979 was the first one Tom Izzo ever attended. He was sitting in the stands that weekend, never knowing he would lead MSU to its next national championship 21 years later. I'll tell you who an Izzo fan is. He's former Duke star and current ESPN Game Day analyst, Jay Williams. You said some years ago, I got to meet this guy, Izzo. Now that you know him, what makes it click with him?
3 months ago, we had our first child, and it was a baby girl. Her name is Amelia Brooklyn Rose Williams. And my wife is talking now about, she wants to have a boy. And my wife loves sports. She loves soccer. Obviously, I love basketball. If my son were to play basketball, I would allow him to play for Tom Izzo. I would not say that about a lot of other coaches in the country. There are certain people that you meet that morally they stand where you align yourself with. There's such respect for who he is as a man. And the coaching part is great. But for who he is as a person, the way I see him lead on a day-to-day basis and the way I hear other players talk about him, the way I hear Mo P, Mateen Cleaves, Zebo, Jay Rich, guys that have played for him, guys that love him, to see Dane be on his staff and to talk the way Dane does about him, there's not even a question. Those are people that you want to be around. They make you better.
Yeah, you're giving him guff that he didn't recruit you?
No, I haven't gotten there yet. It also I can bust chops a little bit, but being 37 years old, I have to kind of keep my head down and yes, coach. So I know how to play the game with Coach Izzo too.
Yeah, high praise, though, coming from a guy who wasn't even recruited by Izzo, but Jay Williams did all right. He played for Coach Mike Krzyzewski at Duke, then went on to an NBA career before a serious injury ended his playing career. And by the way, take a look at this little video nugget our cameras caught in the hallway following Michigan's victory Saturday over Florida in the tournament. Coach John Beilein, a couple of his players wishing the Spartans good luck in their following game, which, of course, Michigan State also won. And who knows, if the bracket plays out, the rivals could meet for a 4th time this season. That would be in the national semifinals. Wouldn't that be something? Speaking of Michigan, Wolverines are off to Anaheim. We'll visit with them and share a chat with a guy who played in the Spartans' backyard, wound up in Ann Arbor. That's next. Stay with us. Kids didn't used to do this stuff, but I like it. From the Michigan locker room Saturday afternoon, a wild water celebration after that victory put the Wolverines in the Sweet 16 for a third consecutive season under Coach John Beilein. The Wolverines got there with a solid performance Saturday in Des Moines over Florida. They got Charles Matthews back in the lineup after an injury. He was a definite factor, and my play of the week was this upcoming connection between Xavier Simpson and a high-flying Isaiah Livers for an electrifying duck. 64-49 over the Gators. One mission accomplished, and as Audrey Dahlgren found out in the locker room afterward, much more to do.
The goal is obviously to get back to the Sweet 16, but for it to be 3 times now, what does that mean for this program?
It's crazy, not a lot of people get to experience this, and me experiencing this in my first year is just so special, and I'm just so excited to be out there, and to have that opportunity is just amazing.
It shows a really good job of what the coaching staff does and how everybody's able to be connected, and they take their job seriously, and they're putting the extra hours, and everything pays off. Something like this just isn't given, or it just doesn't happen. Everything is earned in this. And we work on it for so long, and being able to have guys who come in and we in games at 12 o'clock and they're up till 4:30 doing film and being up all night without getting rest. I don't know if y'all can tell, but he looked like he ain't slept in 3 days. So being able to have guys like this and prepare us more than anything, it definitely is just amazing for us to be able to make it back.
People think that we lose momentum going after the regular season because we lost 3 straight times to our rivals in that 3 weeks, but we still have momentum coming in here. We still have one goal is to win national championship, and it kind of reminds me of that last year's team with Duncan, Mo, Muhammad, Jerron, all those guys who were just relentless, and they just wanted a championship for their last year. And I know it's not we don't have a lot of seniors and a lot of vets on this team, but you never know. You got to be blessed with this opportunity and just go for it.
And remember this guy? It's former East Lansing star Brandon Johns, rated the top player in the state with the Trojans as a senior last season. He averaged 28 points and 11 rebounds in his final high school season. He made the decision some time ago to be a Michigan Wolverine. And ever since Johns was a little boy, he dreamed about playing at the next level. This year, his dream became reality. He's been used sparingly in year 1 at Michigan, and our Alex Sims spoke with him about his transition to the college level.
It's a big difference, but it's a great experience. I love it. To be here is amazing. It's a blessing, and I'm enjoying every day of it.
How did high school prepare you for this level?
High school was definitely tough because the transition is really hard. But I think being in the EYBL and everything, going to all the camps that I did go to, I think that really helped out a lot, and to help me kind of prepare for this situation.
What has been the biggest difference in the transition?
Definitely the speed and the physicality of the game. High school was fast, sure, but now it's really fast. Everybody's strong, athletic. It's not no more of jumping over people to score or nothing like that. You're always going to be up against a wall of chest or something. So physicality and speed is definitely the biggest.
Does it still feel like a dream when you get out on that court?
It's an amazing feeling, and obviously, like I said, it's a blessing to be here. It's one of the biggest things that people look for in their life and that they want to do. So to have this opportunity is really amazing.
John should see more playing time as a sophomore next season, and who knows, maybe he still has a role in the Wolverines' remaining tournament run. Coming up next, our one-on-one interview with MSU coach Tom Izzo, who showed a lighter side in part 1 of our conversation. We'll also get into that national hot button he became last week for his sideline tirade. Part 1 of our conversation with the coach up next on March to Glory, Sweet 16.
For the past 42 years, and with over 28 million sold, more people have put their hard-earned money on a Ford F-Series truck than any other pickup in America. Yeah, I'd say that's money well spent. It's Ford Truck Month, America. Time to join the stampede.
Lease a 2019 F-150 Super Crew XLT for just $222 a month for 24 months with 0 down at signing at your neighborhood Michigan Ford dealers.
Listen, I love to grill, but we don't always have time.
Go get them.
That's when Johnsonville Flame Grilled Sausage is perfect. It tastes grilled because Johnsonville already grilled it. So you get that famous Johnsonville flavor any night of the week.
Tired of pulling junkyard parts by yourself?
I'm not doing this myself. I'm going online to Schroyer's to get what I need. They've got pre-called orders ready for pickup.
Schroyer Auto Parts.
Whether you're looking to get to the next level or the next episode, catch up on your shows or catch up with your friends. WOW has it all, so you won't miss out. Bundle super fast internet with our most popular TV package, starting at just $84.99 a month, and you'll get the entertainment your family loves at a price your wallet will love too. We make it easy to get the cliffhangers, the buzzer beaters, stream and jam out. Get choice, get value, get WOW.
Trucks sell for less at Grand Ledge Ford, and it's Truck Month going on now. Lease this brand new 2019 F-150, $54,000 list price. Pay just $299 per month. If you want to buy it, take $17,500 off all our XLTs in stock. Check us out online at GrandLedgeFord.com. We've got over 50 in stock. Trucks sell for less. Grand Ledge Ford, always working hard to earn your business.
It begins here, deep beneath the surface, falling, crushing, changing, starting far from its final destination, bringing with it the promise of a better tomorrow. People working together to improve Michigan and taking pride in our future. And at the end of the day, you can look back knowing you've moved things forward. Your future awaits at MichiganConstruction.com.
We got the #1 cheerleader, we got the #1 team, and you the #1 fan.
From the 1979 National Championship Rally, Magic Johnson addressing the crowd, which was chanting 2 more years in the hopes that he would come back. Greg Kelser was there too. We all know Magic didn't come back. Greg Kelser and that 1979 gang had a wonderful year, and it happened 50 years ago. In town. What a memory. I believe I mentioned earlier in this show that Final Four was Tom Izzo's first he ever attended, a few years before he started working at MSU. Izzo sat down with me for our second March to Glory special in 2 weeks, a number of topics to discuss, so we've divided it into 2 parts again. Now, since our last conversation, he had a much ballyhooed sideline blow-up with freshman guard Aaron Henry that made national headlines and sent the Twitter world a tizzy. We get into that, but we start with something I'm surprised the coach didn't know. Well, when last we met, we talked about maybe doing this again, and here we are, 14 Sweet 16s.
Wow. Didn't know that.
Didn't. It's just expected around here.
Yeah, maybe I'm part of the problem. Maybe I expected too, you know. But I didn't realize that we've been to that many. And as I said all the time, consistency is how I think people should be judged. Can they be consistent and be consistent in the pursuit of excellence? Not always there, but pretty consistent.
On Saturday, I had my annual fantasy baseball draft, and I changed the name of my team. I named my team after a Hall of Famer, the Screaming Izzos.
I love it.
Are you surprised that got that much attention?
Yeah, I mean, it was ridiculous. Only because, and I don't even talk about it, but the bottom line is you have a 30-second timeout. You get a 5-second, you know, look at something, and meanwhile, I've had 2 years of work with that kid where he knows me and I know him. I know what it takes to, you know, every guy you don't treat the same. This notion that everybody gets treated equal is not true. Some buttons need to be pushed different ways with some people. But all freshmen, from Mateen Cleaves to Miles Bridges to Jaren Jackson to Aaron Henry, are never going to be put on a pedestal. They're always going to be challenged on what they do. That's why they did turn out to be special later. So I was surprised, but this day and age, nothing surprised me, and I'm good with it.
Well, for the moment, never mind the criticism you got. What did the support you got meant to you from people in your life?
From the number of people, not just former players, you know, it meant the world to me, but I didn't need that to validate what I do. What I need to validate players, parents, you know, because I deal with both. And, you know, if I was playing for me and I was the parent of the person playing for me, I'd question some things. But I also, John Wooden said it best, we should be judged on what happens after they play. And I feel pretty comfortable with what happens to most players that have left this program in a lot of different ways. It's not always perfect then either, but I think the impact is good, and I think as long as you spend time with a player and he knows where you're coming from, everything else is great, and that was the case. And so I'm good. If it offends somebody, you know, maybe I can make adjustments, but the principles of holding people accountable is still the principle of holding people accountable.
Comfortable in your own skin?
Most of the time.
You talk about coaches a lot. You like studying coaches and talking to coaches. I mean, you've dropped Lombardi's name and Belichick and Wooden. Who was the guy for you when you were younger? Who was the guy?
I'm sure Lombardi was. Believe it or not, being at Michigan State, Bo Schembechler was. You know, got to know him a little bit through Buck Nystrom before I even came here. John Chaney was a Division II guy. John Chaney was a guy that taught me how to schedule right. You know, play everybody, play them all, you know. I mean, you could say he was certifiably crazy. John Thompson's still a guy that I enjoy. And but you look at the Mike Krzyzewskis or who has won consistently. You know, everybody can have a different style, but the one part of everybody's style is somebody's being held accountable. You know, if days were normal right now and some guy didn't do what you needed him to do on a continuous basis, you'd take him out of the game. This is one of those years when I look down the bench and, you know, there's not a lot of people I can put in the game. So different reasons for different things, but if you look at all the people, the Pat Rileys that I studied, you know, look what Nick goes through because he was here. You look at all the great, I'm not as big into history as I should be, but if you look at the greatest generals and this and that, I mean, it's not an easy job, and you normally aren't pleasing everybody. That's why you got to make sure you please the people that are going to war with you.
You probably loved Patton, didn't you?
I probably did. If I knew more about him, I'd probably really love him. But what I know about him, I like him a lot.
Just one footnote on the sideline tirade with Aaron Henry. Tom Izzo shared me a couple of text messages. I'm not sure I'm supposed to share this, but I'm gonna. That he got from Aaron Henry over the weekend, thanking the coach for, quote, being hard on me and teaching me what to do and how to get where I want to go, just so you know. And up next, a question I've never asked Tom Izzo before and probably won't ever again. You remember your first kiss?
Barely.
Well, that's about as far as that went, but there is a method behind my questioning to set that up. We'll share that with you in part 2 with our conversation with the coach up next on March to Glory, Sweet 16. Stay with us.
Couple of Spartan dogs hanging out for a championship celebration, eh?
Well, always. I mean, we're spoiled here because of this guy, and one thing I love about it is the alumni. We always come back to support. So,
how you doing?
Thanks, Tommy, again. Hell of a job. Unbelievable.
Son?
I'm in awe. I mean, it's first game I've been back since 1997 when they retired my jersey, so I'm trying to soak everything in, but it's nothing to be said. I mean, he is what Michigan State has been and will always be, and I always appreciate being a part of it.
All started with these guys, didn't it?
These guys are the best, man. Different eras. First recruit, first superstar. Johnny was my first team. Mr. Basketball, my first team.
First McDonald's All-American, baby. Where's my free hamburger?
Quite a moment from the championship celebration. None of those 3 guys ever played for Izzo as a head coach, but he recruited them all as an assistant under Judd Heathcote. Obviously, they're all still close. Now to part 2 of my one-on-one chat with the coach, closing in on the end of season number 24, over 600 career wins and always learning on the job. Said something at your Monday press conference, if we play like we did last week, we'll be done. It won't be good enough. Do they understand that? Does your team understand that?
No. That's why coaches got to be who they are. That's why we got to be relentless. That's why we got to be ever pushing. Because why would anybody understand something that you haven't gone through? You know, and that's why I've told you the story. Until my father died, I never told anybody. I know what you're going through when your parents died. Somebody had cancer. I never tell them. I know what you're going through. You know, that's why you have parents. That's why you have coaches. You know, that's why you have people mentoring you to try to help convince you before you go through it. What do you think the American Cancer Society does? It's all about preventative stuff. How can we prevent it? And that's kind of what we try to do as coaches. Trust me, believe me, because you haven't been through an NCAA tournament. You know, Aaron and Gabe, your eyes are going to be this big. Foster, they're going to be this big, you know. You haven't been through the Sweet 16, you know. You don't know what it's like.
I'm old enough to remember when you didn't make NCAA tournaments. In fact, your first 2 years.
I'm old enough too.
Your third year was your first tournament game. Remember it?
Oh, I remember it like it was yesterday. I mean, it was against Eastern Michigan and
Earl Boykins. Right?
Earl Boykins. They had a good team, and then we came up with that game plan that we still use to this day, of going against Princeton and trying to go against an offense we've never seen. And we took these 15, 20-minute segments and upset them, and then ran into reality with Vince Carter and those guys and got beat by North Carolina. But it was, yeah, it was special. You know, there's nothing like, you know, your first kiss, I guess they say. So this was my first one.
You remember your first kiss?
Barely.
You lost 28 games those first 2 years, and Judd had to fight to get you the job. Did you ever think you and I might not make it through that?
Oh, 100%.
You thought you'd get fired?
100%.
Really?
Yeah, it was about 9 games into my third year. We had been beaten by Detroit and Central Michigan, and I honestly thought for sure. But you know, reading up on Mike Krzyzewski, reading up on Dean Smith, you know, when they hung him in FUG. It's pretty good company to be with, the guys that were going to get fired after 3-4 years. Sometimes being as low as you can be, you either fight your way out of it or you go down. I was sure that Tom Crane and I and that crew, Ann Heath, we were going down. But we had a meeting. We found a way to work it out. We won 18 of the next 22 games and went to that first NCAA tournament.
You said you're using your head more than your heart. How's that working out for you?
It's been a battle.
Yeah.
I battle myself. You know, I go home at night and then I blame my staff. I do a lot of that, especially if it doesn't go right. You know, like last week we took a day off of normal prep time. And then when we came back, we only had 1 day to practice. It didn't go very well, and I just beat myself up, and I beat them up and said, why did you let me do that? Head coaches always got to find someone to blame. Remember that. This week, when the week started on Sunday, I said, no, we're not going to make the mistakes we made last week. And they said, but we got to give our players some rest. So we're finding a way in those first couple days to use my head on what we got to do right. Because my heart would tell me, let's just go practice every day. I'm not going to do that. So I found the happy medium.
So you've learned something in all these years of coaching.
You know, Fred, the fun part for me, because when you're in it a long time and you have this two-sport relationship, and most of that is because of Mariucci, who came into Des Moines, and then Mark Antonio and Nick Saban, and you have these people, you know, idolize Bo and Woody, you know. I'm constantly learning, and I'm fortunate enough that I can pick up a phone and call people that I don't even know and talk to them about it, which I do quite often, because we all got the same problems. You know, we're all trying to push a bunch of 18, 19-year-old, 20-year-olds to places they don't even know they can get to. So it's not their fault, but we all got the same issues, and it's fun to see how different people handle it, and everybody handles it a little differently. But the bottom line, I think, to all the people I talk to, it's got to be trust between the head coach and the player. It's got to be communication between the coaches and the players and the players and the players and the players and the coaches. And there's got to be a burning desire to live and love what you do. And the passion has to be there. And if those things happen, piece of cake.
2 more wins. We might have to do this once more, you know.
This is one time that I tell you that I'll give you an extra half hour if we can get to the next one.
Be careful. I might take you up on that.
Yeah, you know what? We do it. Might be at my house while I'm laying there watching film, but it's going to be, you know, it doesn't get better than this. With opportunities like, you know, we could have. We understand that everybody now is great. Some of those teams are better than us, and maybe there's some that we're better than, but we played 24 Big Ten games this year. Just think about that, Fred. 24 Big Ten teams. And I was just told, you know, yesterday that the bottom of the schedule are the teams we only played once. So if somebody says we just kind of skated through to get here, we did it the old-fashioned way. We've earned it, and that's what makes it all the sweeter.
Good luck in Washington. As always, thanks for your time.
Thanks, Fred.
He's always gracious with his time for these shows. I don't know if I have the guts to take him up on his offer and do a half hour next week, but if the Spartans win 2 games this weekend, stay tuned. And the team is already on its way to Washington, D.C. These are pictures from Capital Region Airport just under 2 hours ago. They ought to be landing about now in the nation's capital. Audrey Dahlgren isn't on that plane, but she's on another plane, and her coverage from Washington begins tomorrow here on TV6. So that's our March to Glory Sweet 16 version tonight, and we thank you all for watching tonight. I guess if there's a Final Four, we may have another one of these shows next week. You enjoy your weekend. You enjoy your March to Glory. We'll see you tonight at 11. Thanks for looking in tonight.